see what's happening on the other side of the wall. So the cause and effect, there's a schism there. The wall is preventing me from seeing what's happening on the other side. This one's a little bit more evident. Every material has its own resonance, that it responds in a more vigorous way. You just give it play to its potentials. Well, the exhibits break all the time. And it's still in development. Yeah, so we've got like the modernist kind of shell, and then the surrealist dream of childhood dreams come out like a bubble. I read that somewhere like that. Even though that you have this this modern idea, and this is the postmodern, I guess, that the design, the austerity of the design is always corrupted by the dreams of our parents, even. That past that comes back to not haunt us, but tell us a story about something. This one's broken, but we'll fix it. We'll get there. And the Noisebau is quoting Schwitter's Noisebau. That was it was destroyed in World War II, but his apartment that he added pieces and scraps. It looks like, I don't know if he cut anything, it's just how he found it and put it together. So, and Schwitter's is also attributed with the first ideas of collage, which sounds like a crazy thing to say, but I think it's true. MERS, the Noisebau and Noisebau, and this is a collaboration between myself and Natalie Ledoux. And we played these instruments in the clear-cut forest of Carmine Walbrand, playing for concerts for no one but just the trees that are no longer there. So we have video that supports that. And it's just great to be doing a show in this room. I don't know if I'll get another opportunity. It's just the acoustics of the room is really strong. The feeling of concrete to contrast what's happening in the quilted room next door. Yeah, I think. Do you have any questions?
The whole project, how grew up like in your...
Oh, that's a good question. Natalie and I started the project Puppets Forsaken, investigating the intonal memory of Luigi Russolo, who's the futurist artist. 1913, he writes Art of Noises, and he builds these. They're iconic pictures. None of them really exist anymore, but they were just large boxes in a room. Too many large boxes in a small room with horns and handles. I was always mystified by what these were, and then I looked into it, and I found the plans. And it was just like a piano string with something annoying rubbing against it. So we built our own intonal memory and deviated from that norm, I suppose, and making these screens that we've also, as well as playing in the forests that aren't there anymore, we've taken this to the acoustic stage, so they roll on stage, And so they have many roles, so the gallery, the stage, and the performance on plein air. So they have, I think, kind of a more of a resonance to the landscape because they've been there. And then we see the great difference between when the preschool kids came in here to operate the exhibit for the first time and they got to open the show, and they knew exactly what to do, that they turned the handle. It was just so normal for them. Whereas the adults couldn't even, they had to be instructed to touch the object. Simple things like that. So that was beautiful to see that the children understood it. Because as artists, I think that's what the show and the gallery does there. It shows it's very important for sculptors to see something that we'll never get back to, the magic of the joining of materials. So that lost childhood. Also, I mean, personally for myself, my mother was a kindergarten teacher and my grandmother was, so that is, I think it just came through in the show. I don't even know if I was pursuing it, but just with the materials of the design material of birch plywood, it just appeals to that play school design. So I think that's has had an effect. Ideas of kindergarten, spatial, heuristic learning through song and play and touching objects. Maybe you're familiar with this idea that the book by Norman Brosterman about Frederick Frobel, who's the inventor of kindergarten, along with Maria Montessori, but that he was a crystallographer and then came up with this model of early childhood education, because before you would only start school when you were about 7 years old. So this utopian idea that young people exposed to the building blocks of the universe, of formal elements of shape, how things to go together, color theory, the Platonic solids, in play and song would create a new utopia. And the argument of the book is that this is where modernism comes out of, for example, the first graduates of the system are people like Franklin Wright and Piet Mondrian, Joseph Albers. So it's this effect that the thesis of the book is that kindergarten affects the aesthetics of modernism, which I think is likely to be true, or at least worthwhile to be entertained.
And speaking of the materials, it was important for you to choose the type of wood or the...
Yes, to create a language, a formal language of continuity. It's alien, but there's something that is identifiable, like how the objects float from the floor. So they each they're built through a system, like you could say. Yeah. And other than that, like using the piano hinge to quote the instruments, and wood as its own resonator, and precious materials, right? Like the plywood before is kind of like not a beautiful material, and now it kind of is. So, yeah, I guess playing on that, and also that it's so simple. I think that appeals to the economy of it. In the piano hinges, you know, it's like a jewelry for wood. Mm-hmm. So it's you know, it makes it I don't know what, adds a little romance to it, I suppose. And there's an essay as well, written by my friend Mark Zion, and we're going to make a catalog from the show, so yeah, I look forward to that. Yeah. But thank you.